Hey there everybody, this is Gary from Constricted and Addicted. Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to my channel. What I'd like to do today is share with you a little bit about today's episode called Everything Reptile, where I interview somebody and share them with you. Today's episode is about the all-Canadian reptile girl. She's got a great YouTube channel, she's got a great Instagram page, so please check her out, and here we go with the interview. I want to thank you so much for doing this. It's awesome. It's really about me sharing you with people and getting to know a little more about you. I love your channel, so you want to just get right into it?
Sure, and thank you so much for inviting me. This is a great opportunity, and I'm happy to do it. Just so you know, I have Tuba here, my Annery boa, and my mom's here to take pictures, and my dad's here to help make sure that the audio and everything is good. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, good morning. Thank you. Thank you very much for this. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thank you for asking.
Yes, I've got my Suriname with me, who's been kind of hanging out with me all morning long. I love this guy. He's my, I say this, and I'm sure you can relate. Anytime I've got one of my snakes out, it's the favorite of my collection. So this is the favorite in the moment right now.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to offend them, right? You want to make them feel special. Yeah.
And they are. Every one of them are special. So
exactly.
I've got to ask, so what was the defining moment for your passion that started your future in reptile keeping?
I didn't really have a defining moment, I'll be honest. I've always loved reptiles, and I would go fishing with my dad, and finding a snake or a turtle, because there aren't many reptiles in southwestern Ontario, it was like finding the holy grail. So it was always so fun to see them in the wild and all of that. And my dad and I love reptiles, but my mom wasn't as keen. But when we got back here to Canada from the States, when we moved back, we started watching a lot of Emily at Snake Discovery, and that kind of the way she presented her snakes and all of that helped my mom get over her fear of snakes. And we got Apricot, which was my very first snake. And she was a beautiful, lovely animal. We got her off of Kijiji, which is basically the Canadian version of Craigslist. And I took her into school for the last day of grade 6. And I presented her to my class, and it went well, and my parents were there. And that was kind of the defining moment for them to know that this is what I want to do with my life, and this is something that I am passionate about. And then they kind of just jumped on board. So I didn't have a defining moment, but they did. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, it's really great. I had to sneak my first snake in. I love snakes. I grew up in the desert. So obviously in California, we've got, gopher snakes, we've got California king snakes, we've got garter snakes, and I would play with them, but my mom, deathly afraid. And to bring one in the house, that was a feat in its own. So I actually, get this, I bought a reticulated python. And I stuck it up in the closet, and my mom found it. And go figure, moms clean out their sons' closets when they're at school. And she saw this, baby. It was a baby, probably 2.5 foot, 3 foot long, reticulated python looking at her through an aquarium glass. But she saw me handling it. And when she saw me handle it, she allowed me to keep it. Aww. So that was really, I had to go the back doorway. I had to say, I had to sneak it in, but after my mom saw me handling it, she got okay with it. But then I took it to another level and caught a king snake and brought it into the house. It's got out of its enclosure, went in through our heater vents, and came up through the heater vent where she was sitting, and that was the end of the snakes.
When I was little, we did a class thing for grade 1 with tadpoles and raising them up, and I went and caught a bunch for my class, and mom and dad let me keep, I think it was 4, and we raised them and then we released them. So that was kind of the only reptile amphibian that I got when I was younger, and that was just, we were fostering them and raising them up, and then we re-released them. But yeah, even mom wasn't quite okay with that, but dad and I had a blast with it.
That is awesome. So you said peaches, right? Or apricot?
Apricot, yes.
Apricot was your first snake. Do you still have apricot?
No, sadly, she did pass. I did actually used to have turtles when we lived in the States. I got them from my upstairs neighbor. So that's technically my first reptile, but when we moved back to Canada from the States, we had to rehome her and the friend we got for her. But the first snake that started all this, Apricot, she sadly passed. We don't know how old she was. We were told she was 6, but looking back, she definitely showed signs of being an older snake. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. I've lost a couple of animals. One had a spine deformity that formed well after I had it. And I did a lot of research. I took her to the vet and there was nothing they could do. And she had the will to live. She was still eating, but she couldn't go to the bathroom on her own. She couldn't shed on her own. And I helped her along is to that point where it's like her quality of life was just diminishing. And it broke my heart to have to make that decision. So, yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No, that just reminds me of my black Florida, what are they called? Everglades black rat snake that I used to have, Beaker. He did pass. He was another one from Kijiji. It looks like he broke his spine. And so with his previous owner, but they didn't say anything about that when we got him. But we kind of helped him recover. We helped him shed and had to go to the bathroom. But he ate on his own. He was a little bit neurologic, but he also sadly did pass. Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly sounds like my Bolivian that I had to help. How many reptiles do you have right
now? Okay. I do believe I have 32.
Woo-hoo!
And 26 of them are snakes. And that's not including 12 baby snakes that we are planning on selling, that we bred and produced and are going to sell. So 32.
That's not including.
Yes, 32 pet reptiles with 26 of them being snakes.
How do you find time? I'm gonna ask this question. How do you find time to handle them all? Because you appear to me to be that person. You're not just a person that's got a bunch of reptiles when your friends come over and you go, oh, look at my glorious reptiles. I visualize you as the person who actually spends time with your reptiles.
Yeah, we do. It can be tricky, but it's a lot easier because I am properly homeschooled. I don't know if you're up to your terms with your homeschooling terms, but yes. Me and my parents are doing something for me called interest-based homeschooling. So this is kind of homeschooling, and there's a lot of stuff to do with it, with like the tech and YouTube and taking care of the animals and researching and writing scripts and presentation skills. And you wouldn't think that it would be that much of an education, but it really is. So because of that, for me, it is a lot easier, and there's a lot more time for me to be able to do that. But yeah, I handle my snakes a lot. There's actually a brand new carpet python right there on the ground. He's in his enclosure. We moved it from back here. We didn't want him to be too distracting. And I'm actually working with him to get him more calm. He hasn't been defensive, but he's our first slightly more skittish snake. And so we're working to do that, kind of calm him down, and we're handling him a bit more. So yeah.
Are you familiar with the new reticulated python I have?
Yes, her name is Cora, right? She's beautiful. She is gorgeous.
I cannot explain the difference in the relationship. I have 17 boa constrictors. I'm sorry, I take that back. I have 15 boa constrictors. And I have a really good relationship with all of my boa constrictors. I handle every one of them. They're all, as you can see, like King Darius here, very personable. But when I got Cora and I unboxed her, and I actually did an unboxing video, she flew out of my hands, scared me to death. I didn't know if that snake was going to hit the floor, go under the refrigerator, go under the oven. Was she going to turn around and bite me? I mean, I was scared. And I just did what I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I just did what first came to mind is keep her strike zone out. So now that I've got her in a bin, I got to figure out how I'm going to get her out of that bin without her flying out, attacking me, or again, I'm scared. Yeah. I'm walking through a fear. That was 5 weeks ago when I unboxed her. Now, every day, I've just gave myself 15 to 20 minutes with her, and I would just handle her and handle her and handle her. completely different animal now.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's night and day. I had big jacket and gloves on. Now I'm barehanded, short sleeve shirt. We're gaining trust. I'm going to say that, I still like, if I touch her tail, she'll whip it. But she's not really herky jerky anymore. And I'm sure you understand. You would get it when I say that the relationship now that I have found with that, that super dwarf retic, it's amazing. It's like going from the no trust to the trust zone, and the bond between human and reptile. It's unexplainable.
Yeah, I actually said to my dad how I feel like my bond that I'm building with Fingers, that's his name, is a lot more. This might sound a little bit mean out of context, but more meaningful because I worked so hard for it,
Yes.
Because all of my other snakes have been absolute sweethearts with no need to tame them down or anything like that. But Fingers is the first difficult snake. And he actually scared Mom because we got him in Montreal when my dad and I went up. And so then we had like an 8-hour, 6-hour drive back. So he was in the car with us for a solid amount of time, and he was grumpy and all of that. And so when we unboxed him, when we got him home, he did bluff strike, didn't he, a couple times? He didn't actually open his mouth, but he did headbutt. And that Mom was not okay with that. She's okay with most of our snakes except for Fingers, but she's working on that and she's doing great.
Thanks.
And
you'll get there. You'll get there.
Yeah, exactly. And the way I'm socializing Fingers is I take him out and I put him under a blanket with me, like on my lap under a blanket. That way he gets used to my scent, and he's still in a safe, relatively dark environment, so he can relax. And he is so expressive with his muscles, honestly. Like other snakes, they can be a little bit tense all the time or relax all the time. But the second you do something he doesn't like, his muscles will tense. And it's just, he's so expressive with that. And I've never seen it in any of my other snakes.
It's a beautiful learning experience. It really, truly is. And I look forward to updates on Fingers and how the relationship starts to bond better. I totally get that. I really do. So what I want to, first I'll go to this. I know that you get to go out and do reptile presentations. I've seen a couple of them, or at least I've seen a couple of pictures that you've posted where I think you did a school or something like that. So do you get to go out and do that regularly?
I do birthday parties, and I've done a few like online virtual education shows, but I haven't gotten to go into schools or libraries yet, which is something I really want to do, but because of COVID, it's kind of restricted. But I have done birthday parties, and I love doing them because the little kids ask the most adorable questions with just such earnest love about it. I don't know. One kid asked me if snakes eat bananas, and I love that the kids don't really know anything about these reptiles, and I can educate them. I can be the first person to tell them, hey, this is how this snake moves. This is how this snake interacts with the world. And I think that it's just so beautiful. I would love to do more, but because of COVID, it's kind of restricted too.
Right. There is something to be said about, I have actually gone into schools. I've gone into daycares. I've done a county fair here in California where I live. There's something about children and parents alike when they've never held a snake, never been up close to a snake, and maybe there's some true fear behind it, and they get to hold the snake and they realize they're not squishy and they're not slimy and they're actually smooth. And when you've got a docile, boa constrictor like I have, and they get to hold my Dumorals, which is over 6 feet long, a very large snake or even a very small snake, it actually changes their lives and their perspective.
Yeah. I had a kid at the last birthday party I did who he was afraid of snakes, but he was like, you know what? I'm waiting for the big one at the end. That's the only one I'm going to hold. I'm going to hold it, and it's going to sit here on my shoulders, and then that's it. I'm done. He was afraid of them, but he did so good with it. And that's one of my favorite things is when there's at least one kid in every birthday party or every presentation thing that's afraid of them. And I love seeing them transform and begin to love these animals. And it's a beautiful thing, honestly.
I have a kid, a friend of mine that lives in Ireland, and her son watches my YouTube channel. And That's all he talks about is, Mom, I want to get a snake. Mom, I want to get a snake. Mom, has Gary uploaded another video? So I mean, I love that. I mean, I've never met the child. I've never met him, but just knowing that he goes to YouTube and he searches out. You got a kitty cat behind you.
Yeah, that's Oscar.
I have a cat named Oscar. So, but they search out the YouTube videos and they get interested in reptiles and they walk through the fears. I love it. It's absolutely a wonderful thing. So speaking of YouTube channels, I found you, and I don't remember exactly how I ended up on Adam's YouTube channel. I used to do a lot of research, and I think he did 5 or 10 YouTube channels that were underrated or something to that effect. And yours was in there. So I think I went through every one, and yours was one of the ones that I said, wow, I really like this. And what I really like about you is that you're young and you're educated and you share your knowledge. And I think that alone, when I'm older, right? So I'm out here and I'm doing my thing, and a lot of people may not relate with me like they relate with you. And I think that's a great thing. Even my granddaughter, who's 10 years old, she watches a Snake Discovery, and Emily's like her favorite, right? So so they're on their way here in a little while. So I was going to ask her if she's actually encountered your channel yet. But what got you inspired to start your channel?
Honestly, Emily at Snake Discovery, because reptiles are so misunderstood and so feared, and I wanted to change that because they are beautiful, they are sweet, they are smarter than people think. And seeing what Emily does and how she kind of presents them, and that it's something I can do, she definitely did inspire me to start my YouTube channel. And you know, because like I said, I'm homeschooled, the channel is really a lot more integrated into my homeschool curriculum, and it works. So that's just an added benefit. But yeah, just seeing how these snakes are beautiful and they need someone to stand up and talk for them, and seeing that Emily was doing that, and maybe I could too. And then I started one, and here we are. So
you're
yeah,
definitely doing it. You're definitely doing it. Like I said, I enjoy your channel. I enjoy your Instagram. If you go ahead and let us know your Instagram if anybody wants to follow you.
it's all Canadian Reptile Score. There's an underscore between each name and all lowercase letters.
Awesome.
But yeah.
And then your YouTube channel is exactly the same, right?
Yes, all Canadian Reptile Girl.
All right. And like I said, I've watched a lot of your YouTube content. Do you find yourself like maybe pursuing this further in your life as an educator or as a career?
I don't really know yet. Honestly, I'm 14 and I have a long way to go before I have to really decide, but I know for sure I want to work with animals, specifically reptiles and exotics.
Right.
But what specifically I want to do for that, I'm not exactly sure. There are days when I want to be an exotic veterinarian. There are days when I want to open a reptile shelter. There are days when I just want to be a conservationist or continue doing this forever. And that might be what I do, but I honestly don't really know yet. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens.
This world needs more exotic pet vets, just to let you know.
I know that. I've watched pretty much every single vet show on Disney Plus. Like my dad and I just finished watching Animal ER, and now we're on to the second season of Secrets of the Zoo. But I've watched every single show for vets and animal shelters and stuff like that on Disney. But my favorite, without a doubt, the one that inspired me to want to kind of become an exotic veterinarian and made me seriously consider that for a while, was Dr. K's what is it called? Dr. K's Exotic Veterinarian
Happy Hour. I don't know. Dr. K's.
Dr. K's. She's great, and I kind of want to be like her, but I don't think I could deal with having to put animals down or losing them in surgery, and that's the only holdback.
It's difficult. It's a very difficult thing. We own a ranch here, so we've had to make the decision, and it never gets easy. That I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
It never gets easy. I love your slogan, "Nurture all nature."
Thank you.
It's great. I mean, it's like the greatest little tagline I think I've ever seen. It's like it really explains the slogan to love all animals, love everything, you know. If there was one thing you could convey about the reptile hobby to the general public, what would that be?
That would, I think, almost certainly be that animals, these reptiles, these animals don't want to hurt you. In the wild, they want nothing to do with you. They will be living their best lives if you never interact with them out in the wild. And in captivity, they are our pets and we love them and we get fulfillment out of them. And these are smarter than people think. Like, they can think a little bit. And new studies going into garter snakes, they have best friends. Like, we love them and they are not bad, and you do not need to be afraid of them.
That's wonderful. One of the things that if I could put one thing out there to the general public, further than the reptile hobbyists, is that there's myths about reptiles that are just completely untrue. And if they took the time to just educate themselves a little bit, I've never wanted, or I'd never asked someone to, you got to love snakes, you got to love lizards, this is what you have to do. But just to kind of understand them a little more and not run with maybe some misinformation that they picked up as a child that they've carried for the rest of their lives. And then they, it just kind of breeds more misinformation. I personally, that's the reason that I wanted to do my YouTube channel. I wanted to do my YouTube channel for another reason, is because I do have a lot of really nice reptiles. And one of the reasons that I go to Instagram or I come to YouTube is because I want to see what other people have. And right now at 17 total reptiles, well, let me share this. I've got a Russian tortoise right here. I've got two 75-pound sulcata tortoises out front. They are 24/7 outside. They're big enough that you can't pick them up. I mean, I can pick them up, but they just live in the yard. They've got a mansion heated enclosure that they live in. When it snows outside, they're warm. So we've got that. I've got we've got a gecko, and of course we just lost our tegu. And you've got Jub Jub. Jub Jub's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about Marley.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awful. I'm so sorry.
It was a love relationship with her. And what I mean by that is that we'd made a great mistake. And I came to you for help on this, if I remember correctly.
I remember.
Advice on this. When we put her outside, the UV light kind of changed her. She's been an indoor animal her whole life until we got her. And we thought, oh, let's build her this big enclosure outside. And she changed. And then we had the fire. And when I found out that she survived the fire, she was in the house. She was walking around just like a cat, just kind of walking. I mean, she would find a nice little sunny spot on the floor and flop her little body down and just soak up the heat. And she crawled up on her bed and went to sleep and never woke back up.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Reptiles are resilient. They are very resilient. They don't let you know when they're in pain unless it's too late. And that was a tough one for me. That was probably one of the toughest reptiles that I've had to deal with losing.
I remember. Yeah, I remember when Jub Jub bit her tongue and got an infection, and she got super lethargic, and I was terrified. Like, I cried. It was terrifying. I don't know what I would do. It's just awful.
Yeah, my reptiles are my world to me. I like I said in the beginning, I say my favorites, quote unquote, but I'll let you know how my mind works right now. I've got this beautiful relationship that we talked about with my retic that I've been developing, and it's one of those things that you just really can't put on paper. You feel it, you understand it, and when I'm holding her, and there's this carefreeness about her just traveling on me. There's this bond that is really taking place. So I think to myself, okay, maybe I'll just reduce my collection altogether and have like 3 or 4 super dwarf retics and just a few boas. And, and then I start to think to myself, what would I really, I have such a connection with all of my snakes. There was no literal way that I could do that. There's absolutely no way I could do that. So what I do is that I am okay with the animals I have. And I try to learn my limitations, that I'm not a breeder. I have, maybe some plans in the future of, I've got an Argentine, and my friend's got a female Argentine. I've got my Peruvian. Maybe in the plans in 5 years down the line, there's some breeding happening in the future, but I'm a hobbyist first and foremost. And being a hobbyist, I take into consideration the animals that I have and the care that goes into them, and making sure that I don't have too many animals that some get neglected. So it was just something I was thinking about in, this is overzealousness now of this retic. But the other thing is that we get these animals, and sometimes like they don't have the same bonding as like maybe the retic, meaning that I could get another retic that's just as defensive and scared, and they just kind of never get over that. So I've got a really good thing going with my retic, and I don't want to overdo it, I guess is where I'm going with that. But who are the people?
Yeah.
Who are the people in your life that inspire you in the reptile industry?
Okay. Definitely, like I said, snake discovery. Emily is a huge inspiration. And I want to one day meet her. But then, of course, Adam from Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles, who has also been a huge help to my channel with shout outs and all of that. And he, is one of the reasons why I have all of the subscribers that I have now. And I'm super thankful to him. And I'm just going to keep this list short because there are so many that I watch that help inspire me and all of that. So I'm just going to keep it short. I'd also say Clint from Clint's Reptiles, just because he's so enthusiastic about them and he presents it in a really interesting way. That's, I don't know, it's different and I like it. And then of course, Kevin from Nerd, because just the bond with the animals, the way he's just so tuned in to every animal, even a brand new one, and he can just practically know what it's thinking as soon as he sees it, is incredible. I want to get to that level, honestly.
He is one of the most amazing people ever, I think, in this hobby.
Just so in tune with the animals, and it's yeah.
All right. Well, let me see here. I think I've asked you all the questions. So at this point, what I am going to do is I created this game, and it's called Fact or Fiction. So in Canada, do you guys have, like, we have USR? It's the United States Association of Reptile Keepers. Is there something similar to that in Canada?
There is. It is called CanHerp. It is getting off the ground. It is an amazing organization. Grant Crossman, who also runs all of the expos in Canada, is working on CanHerp. And please definitely go check it out. Go donate. They are doing amazing work, and they are doing what USARC is doing, just in here in Canada, because sadly the restrictions are getting moved up into Canada.
All right. So on this portion, what we're going to do is we're going to do fact or fiction. I have 5 questions for you. You're going to say fact or fiction. And for each question you get right, I am going to donate $5 to CanHerp. You're going to send me the link so that I know where to send that donation. But you ready? These are 5 random questions. And how I kind of did it was I based it off some of the animals that I know you have. And then the last question, I'm sure you'll figure out how I did that. So there are 6 different species of the tegu. Fact or fiction?
I do believe that is, hold on. That's fiction. They both start with F. So fiction.
Ding, 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 ding. You are absolutely correct. There's $5 on that question. There are 7 species. All right. And also remember that my information comes from the internet, and the internet is always correct. The internet never lies.
That is fiction.
Ding, 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 ding. I'll give you 5 on that one too. All right. Okay, this is question number 2. The conservation status of the Dumeral's boa constrictor is threatened with extinction. This is why they are on the CITES list.
I believe that is fiction, I want to say.
That
Oh,
is a
no.
fact. That is a fact.
Oh.
They have different classifications of extinction, and
Oh.
they have near extinction or threatened with extinction. So the Dumeral's boa is threatened with extinction, and that's why they are on the CITES list. Thank you, Google. So if somebody watched this video later and wants to correct me, they can go to Wikipedia. All right.
Okay.
This is great. This is great because this is about fingers.
Okay.
The carpet, right? Is it carpet python, right?
Yep.
All right. The carpet python is found mainly in Southeast Indonesia. Fact or fiction?
Indonesia?
Indonesia.
Yes, that is fact.
Fiction. They are found in Southeast Australia. Although
Oh, yeah.
they are in Indonesia, but the main distribution, the mainly part is in Southeast Australia. So right now you've got
half points.
half points. We'll think about it. All right. So right now you've got 3, right? You've got 3 questions right with the bonus question. So we're going on number 4.
Okay.
The South American horned frog is also known as the Pac-Man frog. Fact or fiction?
I want to say fact, but I'm not exactly sure on that one.
Is that your final answer?
Fact is final answer.
You want to phone a parent? No.
No, I'm going to go with fact.
Ding, you are correct. It is, in fact, the Pac-Man frog. And your final question, you get this right. $25 American is going to Canherp.
Ooh, a lot of pressure.
7 species of lizards are native to Canada. Fact or fiction?
I want to say that's fiction. I feel like there aren't many. Wait, lizards. Are we including snakes in this list?
No, 7 species of lizards are native to Canada. Fact or fiction?
I'm gonna say that's not correct. Fiction.
Ding, 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 ding. You are correct. But it is that there are 6 native species to Canada. There is 1 introduced species to Canada. So there are 7, but only 6 of them are native.
Okay, then.
Have you ever seen a
I
Canadian
will
lizard?
now.
I've never seen a Canadian lizard, honestly.
I am going to donate $25 to Canherp in the All Canadian Reptile Girls name. And
Thank you.
if you send me that link, I will go ahead and get that done. And you know what? I totally appreciate you doing this interview. I mean, this has been a lot of fun. I think, like I said, I'm going to be doing this with somebody at least once a month. And is there anything else that you'd like to add or include before we end this interview?
I don't think so. Definitely subscribe to your channel. If you're anyone watching this who is not subscribed, subscribe to Gary's channel here. It is amazing. And thank you for having me on. This was a great opportunity, and I'm glad I did it.
Thank you. And if you haven't subscribed to the All Canadian Reptile Girls channel, please do. And if you go even further to Instagram, you can follow her on Instagram. Amazing content, amazing knowledge. She's great. She's a great person for the hobby. So check her out. I want to thank you again, and we'll see each other around. I appreciate it. Thank you.